Hello everyone, welcome back to Alex. This is a continuation of SQL tutorials. In this tutorial, I'll be explaining user-defined functions. In the previous tutorial, we have seen functions like aggregate functions, window functions, datetime functions, string functions. Those are all called as inbuilt functions. Means they're already predefined in SQL. But when it is come to user-defined functions, we have to define our own function. So user-defined functions. So in user-defined functions, we have to define our own functions. So in SQL, there are mainly two types of functions: inbuilt functions and user-defined functions. Inbuilt functions are functions which already predefined in the SQL and are available to use without defining anything. Suppose the sum function, average function, count function, also window functions like rank, bench rank. Those are all called as inbuilt functions. But and we have another type of functions which is user-defined functions. So in user-defined functions, we have to define our own functions, we have to define our own queries, and we have to define our own parameters. So here user-defined functions is concerned, there are mainly three types of user-defined functions. Scalar user-defined functions. I'm giving UDF. UDF means user-defined functions. And inline table valued functions. Inline table user-defined functions and quality table user-defined functions. These are different types of user-defined functions. So, like, I want to ask one question, like, what is a function first? What is a function? Here, we can define function as a function is a block of code. Function is a block of code is used to perform some calculations. So, we use functions mainly for calculations like data manipulation, data cleaning, and performing mathematical operations. We use these functions used for mathematical operations, calculations, and data manipulation, also cleaning, mathematical calculations. This is how we define a function. In this tutorial, I'll be explaining scalar defined functions. In the next upcoming tutorials, I'll explain um, table valid functions and multi-table valid functions. Let's go to scalar, scalar user-defined functions. The UDF means user-defined functions. So the function name itself is saying scalar. Scalar means a single value. A single value. So in the same way, the scalar user-defined functions returns a single value. Like it returns a scalar data type. Single value, a scalar data type. Scalar data type. We cannot say single value. It returns a scalar data type. The scalar data type would be int, float, uh, any varchar, and also date. So it returns the scalar data type as a return type. So let's understand the syntax for creating a function first. Then we try to create a function and understand how this function is working. Syntax for a function is mainly for user-defined function, which is scalar UDF function. Syntax is for the create function in a function name. So we are creating a function. We have to give the function name. For a, since function is a database object, we have to use create command. Create function name, and we have to give the parameters like parameter one and data type, parameter two and data type. We can give as number of parameters to a function. And next is return. Returns like what this function returns. Is the function returns a integer value or a float value as a varchar or a date? Return type. Type means a data type. And as we have to begin and end the body, function body. So between them we have to give function body of the function. You can say body of the function. So what I'm saying is create function name, take these parameters and return this data type, and as begin is the body of the function. We have to ensure begin and end body is above the function. We have to ensure this function body is between begin and end body. So let's understand with the example. Let's create a function which calculates sum of two numbers. So for creating a function, we know that we have to give create function. Function name is I'm giving fn sum of two numbers. Since I'm calculating sum of two numbers, I'm giving function name as fn underscore sum of two numbers. So this function takes two parameters. Number one, which is integer data type, and number two, another one is integer data. This function returns int only. So when we perform sum of two numbers, the sum will be integer only. I want int as a return type, and we have to give as begin and end. In the begin and body, we have to give the function body, not body of the function. You can see. So I want sum of uh, these numbers, number one plus number two. So when I giving two numbers to this function, I have to return. I want to calculate sum of these two numbers, num1 plus num2. So we have to give return number one, num1 at the rate, which is a parameter. We have to ensure parameter is starting with the at the rate symbol. So this function return num1 plus num2 at the rate num1 plus at the rate num2. So this function takes two parameters num1, num2 and returns integer data type, integer value as begin in the body, and this function return number one plus number. Let's create this command completed successfully. Let's check in the Object Explorer. Let's go to the programmability, go to functions. See, we are able to see different types of functions, table valued, scalar valued functions. Now we are discussing about scalar valued functions. Now see, a function is created dbo.fn underscore sum of two numbers. This is a function. Here dbo means the schema owner of this function. We are created the function successfully. Now we have to use this function. To use this function, we have to follow a specific syntax, or we have to call the function. If you want to call the function, is similar to calling a table or similar to a select statement on the function. I want to call the function with given parameters. It is similar to functions in Python which take parameters and return something. So the syntax for calling a function is select the function name. Select the function name. First we have to give the schema name. Schema name. Schema name dot function name. The arguments. What are the arguments this function takes? So let's call our function which we define. Select the schema name for this function is dbo. dbo is the owner database object. Function name is fn underscore sum of two numbers. This is the function we define. And this function take two parameters, num1, num2. So I'm giving two numbers, 100 and 200. So execute it. Sum is 300. We can give as a alias name sum. Sum is 300. If I change the number, now the sum is 210. This is the way we call the function. And also we can use this function with the tables. Suppose in our employee table, emp1 emp1 I have numeric columns is mgr salary. Now I want to sum salary and the commission. I want to sum the salary and the commission. For that we can use the table also. For that how to get the function name first. Function name and the column names we want salary and commission. Total salary from employee table. So we are using these columns from the employees table. That's why I'm giving salary and commission. If I execute it, I'm getting the total salary. This adding salary plus commission. We can also add salary department number. Now we can also query all the columns from the table. The salary and department number is 1600 plus 30, 1630. 1250 plus 30, 1280, and so on. You can use functions on tables also. You can use query the columns. We can pass columns as a arguments to this function. So this is about scalar valid function. Scalar valid functions do nothing but returns a single data type, which is integer, float, and varchar data type. And that's all. I hope you understand. If you believe you learned something today, don't forget to give a like and share it with your friends who are learning SQL, and subscribe to my channel Sujit Analytics to stay updated with my latest tutorials. I will share this SQL file in the description. Make sure to download and go through this function. And that's all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.